Here's a question for
Congressman, I
you.
would
Have you had
respectfully
discussions,
disagree with you.
excuse me, Mr. Secretary, have you had discussions with the president or anyone in the Biden administration about stepping down from your current role?
I have not.
Not a conversation with anyone in the administration?
Congressman, let me be very clear.
Yes or no?
May I answer your
No,
question?
yes or no? Have you had that
Congressman.
conversation with anyone in the administration?
I am very proud of what we have accomplished. I'm very committed
Sir,
to accomplishing
Answer
more.
the question. Have you had a conversation with anyone in the administration about stepping down from your current role?
I have not.
Secretary Mayorkas, in April, you said, quote, "Our message has been clear that the border is in fact not open." According to public data from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, which you yourself oversee, we had 227,000 migrant encounters at the southwest border in September of this year alone, bringing the yearly total to almost 2.4 million, which is the highest number ever recorded. Do you believe that indicates a border that is not open?
Congressman, thanks for your question. Please, it's very important that the American people understand that the individuals whom we encounter who are not expelled under the Public Health Authority of Title 42 are placed in immigration enforcement proceedings and are subject to removal if they do not qualify for the relief that the laws of this country provide them.
Respectfully,
I do not
Mr.
think,
Secretary,
if I may.
No, hang on. I have a limited amount of time and several questions. If you just give me a quick answer, I would really appreciate it.
Sure.
Among those nearly 2.4 million encounters, we had 98 non-U.S. citizens listed on the terrorist watch list who were caught trying to enter the homeland between ports of entry. This is approximately 5 times the number of terrorist encounters from the last 5 years combined. Do you believe this indicates a border that is not open?
What this indicates, Congressman, is the fact that we have extraordinary personnel in the United States Border Patrol risking their lives every day to apprehend individuals at the border. And we
Mr.
work.
Secretary, you're not going to answer the question. In fiscal year 2022, we had an estimated 600,000 gotaways. Do you believe this indicates a border that is not open?
Congressman, I would respectfully posit that I don't think that the 1.4 million people who were either removed or expelled
Mr. Secretary,
from the country would
please.
consider the border open.
I'm going to take back my time. In May, Kansas City law enforcement seized more than 15,000 counterfeit fentanyl pills. This fiscal year alone, CBP has seized enough fentanyl to kill almost 2.9 billion people, over 8 times the entire population of the U.S. Do you believe this indicates a border that is not open?
Congressman, do you realize that the majority of the fentanyl that is sought to be smuggled into the United States comes through the ports of entry, and our interdiction efforts have been more successful than ever before? I should note,
Mr. Secretary, in my home state,
excuse me,
Mr. Secretary, you've done this all day. When you don't like a question, you filibuster. In my home state of Kansas, the state health department saw a 54% increase in drug overdoses in the first half of 2021, nearly half of which were caused by fentanyl, primarily supplied by the cartels. Nationwide, the CDC reported that over 107,000 Americans died of drug overdoses in 2021, with 66% of those related to synthetic opioids like fentanyl. 300 Americans a day are dying from fentanyl. It's the equivalent of an airliner going down every day. Do you think this indicates a border that is not open?
Congressman, the fight against the scourge of fentanyl and the devastation that it is wreaking is a years-long fight that we in the United States government with our state and local partners have been fighting. Do you realize that the number of overdose deaths from fentanyl has been increasing year over year since at least 2018? Certainly, this is not a new phenomenon.
Mr. Secretary,
it is not a new tragedy.
Mr. Secretary, you clearly don't understand the problem.
I clearly do.
Excuse me, this has nothing to do with politics. This is about kids across the country dying every single day from fentanyl overdoses because people in Washington can't get their act together. This is about an overwhelmed Border Patrol. This is about migrants being victimized by the drug cartels. My concern, and the concern of my constituents back home, is how can you begin to solve the problem if you don't even acknowledge the depth and breadth of it? Here's a question for you. Have you had discussions, excuse me, Mr. Secretary, have you had discussions with the president or anyone in the Biden administration about stepping down from your current role?
I have not.
Not a conversation with anyone in the administration?
Congressman, let me be very clear.
Yes or no?
May I answer your
No,
question?
yes or no? Have you had that
Congressman,
conversation with anyone in the administration?
I am very proud of what we have accomplished. I'm very committed
Sir,
to accomplishing
answer
more.
the question. Have you had a conversation with anyone in the administration about stepping down from your current role?
I have not.
I hope, for the sake of the safety of the American people, that that conversation happens very soon. I yield back my time.
Madam
The
Acting,
gentleman yields back. Mr. Secretary, you may respond. If you
Madam Acting Chair, thank you very much for the opportunity. Congressman, I look forward to sharing information with you so that you understand the threat that fentanyl poses and how it is smuggled into the country, everything that we are doing to fight the transnational criminal organizations across the federal enterprise with our partners to the South, and to disabuse you of misunderstandings that you have with respect to the fentanyl crisis, because they are grave. And I look forward to not only sharing information with you, but hopefully sharing information with the American public.
Astronomani. I came to the United States at the age of 4. I was an immigrant to the great state of New Jersey, and I grew up in Morgantown, West Virginia, a mostly white state. I was affirmed, I was supported, and I was able to grow up a girl who knew not a word of English when I arrived to become a reporter for the Wall Street Journal. I am sitting here before you today, apparently the face of white supremacy. I am wearing a shirt that my father made. My father survived, literally, white supremacy in India. My father is 5'3", because when he was a boy, the white supremacists that were the British rule in India literally funneled food away from the people of India, and my father starved. And so he grew up to be a young man who came to the United States of America, because he believed in the values and principles of this great nation. My father made this shirt for me, inspired by the gown that Representative Ocasio-Cortez wore to the Met Gala. And it says on here the names that we, the parents in the United States of America, have been called, including in the video that you featured, Chairman Raskin. Things like domestic terrorists, white supremacists, QAnon moms. What is it that we, the parents, have dared to stand up against in the United States of America over the last couple years? It is a divisive ideology expressed through this book called Critical Race Theory. It is a book that is taught in law schools, but it is translated into our school systems with books like this, Not My Idea, a book about whiteness. The trickle-down effect of the demonization of any human being because of their race is books like this. Where does this book take us as an idea? It takes us to this very simple idea, an idea that is a new hierarchy of human value. There is no doubt that the hierarchy of human value that was about white supremacy is illegitimate. Every single person is opposed to the idea of white supremacy. But we cannot replace an old hierarchy of human value with a new hierarchy of human value that demonizes children with this book, Whiteness is a Bad Deal, Signing a Contract with the Devil. What is the message in this? The message is the shaming of human beings. No child should be shamed. And why is this a threat to our democracy? Because we then have posters like this one in the Los Angeles School District. What does it say? F America, with KKK replacing the C. Because the idea is that our nation has become a white supremacist nation, and that is not true. That is not the reality, and we can see exhibited here today this poster also, F the police. This is an ideology that I call the woke army. It is an ideology of activists who are going through America's school districts and our communities, and what they are doing is a threat to democracy. What is the greatest threat that our children face today? It is the learning loss. that has happened in our school districts. The Department of Justice declares clearly the characteristics that lead any human being to extremism include having less education. Chairman Raskin, I don't know if you know it, but the reading level in your school district, in Montgomery County Schools, is at 32% of kids that are reading at grade level. Math is at 30%. Congresswoman Tlaib is here. In Detroit, it's 18% and then 12% for math. It is a failure. This is a system failure. White supremacy must be defeated, as must all extremism. This is our mandate as adults for our children. Our children are in a crisis today, and the idea that we, the parents, are now the agents of white supremacy is unacceptable. All of these books that I have here today are the indoctrination that are being put into the minds of our children instead of the fundamentals that are critical to make them educated, enlightened citizens that protect our democracy. That is our greatest mandate, and that is the one that I am honored to serve with you to realize for our children. Thank you so much.